Hello and welcome back to our program. And today for our first guest we have Claire Besley, who's an emotional health expert and talking to us about emotional health today. And so Claire, why do you think that there's an epidemic of anxiety and depression in Australia?
I think that's a great question. Obviously it's rampant, we all know about it, we all either had it or we know someone else who's had it. The reason that I think the epidemic is as big as it is and why it's continuously growing and not reducing is because we're living in a society where we're actually taught that to be angry or to be sad or to be disappointed is unhealthy. And so what we do is when these emotions come up, instead of actually allowing them to process, we push them back down, we judge ourselves for having them, and we try not to feel them. And whenever we don't allow ourselves to feel our emotions, they actually build up inside of us and they can get to a point of being uncontrollable. So we can have a panic attack, as an example. So I think that the reason that this epidemic is growing and not reducing is because we are approaching it from a medical perspective of what can we do to reduce it by giving you a tablet, rather than going, how can we help you to efficiently process emotion so that it doesn't build up to the point where you're needing to go to hospital.
And so then what would be the difference between emotional health and mental health?
Yeah, there's a very big difference between mental health and emotional health. And I think in society today, we really are talking and focusing on mental health. Personally, I think if we shifted our focus from mental health to emotional health, we'd actually see a dramatic change in results. They would increase rapidly. Mental health is focused on our thoughts, our processes that we're having cognitively in our minds. Emotional health, when we focus on that, we're actually looking at what is the emotions that are building up in our physical bodies. How much emotion is repressed in our physical body. So when we focus on the body and the emotions in there and we actually learn to release them in a healthy way, the mind clears on its own. So the current approach to let's solve everything from the focus of the mind is treating us as if that's all we are. Whereas if we approach healing and becoming well from a focus on emotional health, then the mind actually resolves itself and we kind of kill two birds with one stone. So there's a huge difference, and that focus must shift to one of emotional health if we want to have much better results and a healthier nation.
So what do you think we can do to help resolve that situation?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Look, it's actually incredibly simple. A lot of the work that I do is actually helping people on a daily basis to release the blocked emotions and beliefs that live in the body that cause illness. So the best thing that we can start to do, number one, as a society, is stop having a negative view of people that are having negative emotions. So when you know someone who's angry or someone who's sad, instead of telling them, hey, you'll get over it, sit with them and say, I know you're feeling angry. How about I sit with you in that and allow you to feel that right through, rather than trying to get you to talk you out of it or tell someone why they shouldn't be angry. We teach them to actually embrace it. It's healthy, it's good, and let's feel it together. And once we have a society where we're constantly embracing every kind of emotion, shame, guilt, sadness, apathy, indifference, once we all learn to embrace each other's emotions, we'll start to process them in a much more healthy way, because there won't be the judgment stopping us from experiencing them, and we'll stop suppressing them because we'll realise that they're valuable.
And Claire, could you give us some examples about that, how this emotional health and the differences there is playing out?
Yeah.
For people?
Look, I think, we've got this fantastic Are You OK movement, which I love. But my challenge with it is, if we learn to ask everyone, are you OK? What do we do when they say, no, I'm not? Typically then, we might get them to discuss it a little bit more, and they might say, I'm having suicidal thoughts. I don't really want to be here anymore. That's a pretty difficult thing for someone on the other side of that are you okay question to be able to cope with. And typically our response is, no, you're going to be okay, your life's amazing, I'll help you through it, everything's going to be all right. What I think needs to shift is we actually need to allow people to have these feelings and recognise that they're just emotions. So instead of immediately trying to talk somebody out of experiencing that emotion, maybe it's time for us to say, you know what, it's okay for you to feel like that. And how about I sit here with you and actually we go into those feelings, and how about I feel your grief with you? Because at the other side of feeling that grief is a release. And that person will then quite often shift out of that state and no longer have those thoughts, because the thoughts are just the response to the feelings. So I'd love to see the Are You OK movement extended a little bit to what do we do when they say that they're not okay, and how do we help them embrace what they're feeling, allow their body to process it and metabolise it, so their mind then recognises that actually, no, I don't want to die. This is something I do on a daily basis. I've done this with hundreds of clients now. I don't run away from their pain. I go into it with them and enable them to process it. And I don't believe this is just only something for therapists to do. I believe everybody has a role in this society to help everybody as much and as often as we can. So I think extending the "Are you okay?" to allowing emotion would be the best thing we could do together.
And in the Australian society, that'd be a great thing to incorporate to people to be aware of, that it's okay. It is okay.
Yeah.
And just relax a little bit about.
That's right. And I think that the challenge is we can't deal with other people's emotions. It's scary to have someone you love or someone you know expressing these horrible, scary thoughts. But the reason that it's so difficult for us is because we're not comfortable with our own emotions. We suddenly feel scared ourselves when someone's saying that to us. And because we don't know how to process and accept our own, it makes it even harder for us to accept someone we love that's experiencing emotion. So the first thing we have to do is start to trust and allow ourselves without judgment to experience our emotions as they come up, and recognise that emotions are beautiful and we need all of them. You can't feel love and joy without having experienced grief and anger. We can't dismiss half of them and only want the others. Life is a balance. And so really understanding, okay, I'm angry today. This is not bad. This is good. Let me feel into it and allow it to move. And then you might even move to courage or joy, and then you'll realise that anger was of great benefit to you. But while we're saying repress it, repress it, repress it, people end up going out and getting aggressive because it's built up inside. This is the movement that must take place if we want to rid ourselves of depression and anxiety. This must occur.
Well, that's wonderful, Claire. Great to have you on board today. And for more information on Claire and emotional health, then please go to our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And now we'll go to break. Welcome back, and we have Dr. Zara Chelik back with us, our integrative health and wellness expert, and today she's talking to us about stress management. So Zara, stress management, can you tell us a bit more about managing stress? We have, I'm sure, many viewers who experience stress in their daily lives. We hear about it all the time.
So there are two types of stress. We've got the new stress and there's a chronic stress. New stress is actually beneficial. It helps us to produce outcome and meet a deadline, and it helps us to push through that boundary, that challenge, and get an amazing outcome. Then there is a chronic stress. And again, with chronic stress or stress in general, our perceptions also come into playing a role. So there could be an event, and we both will perceive it completely different and react completely different, and our physiology will be completely different, and along with the biochemistry for both of us. So it really also comes down to our perceptions, right, when it comes to stress. The other thing is our language. That's a big one. It plays a big role as to how we perceive daily, day-to-day tasks, or the language that we use in our work environment, with people around in our circle, with our loved ones, because that whole language can shift so much in our physiology, in our biochemistry, as well as our psychology. So really, we can, for example, I can just right now say, I have to cook, or I can say, I get to cook. Can you see how my physiology, my body just shifted along with that? So with the word, how I use my language with the second one, I get to, that's all gratitude that's coming in. When we have that gratitude coming in, the language is different. It's not really stressful anymore because I'm saying, I get to, and it's divine, it's nice, and my body likes that as well. So that, whether it is the cooking that I'm saying I have to or I get to, whether it is my emails, I have to check my emails. So that task becomes so simple and it is no longer stressful. So number one is language. What language are you using to associate with your daily, day-to-day tasks, activities, or with people around in your circle? So that's a big one. Then, of course, taking care of our physical body as well. Exercise, meditation, the spiritual well-being, spending more time being out in nature, connecting with nature. It helps us to be more grounded, more authentic, more objective. The other thing is making sure that we're not holding on to resentments, we're not judging people, we are conserving our energy to produce amazing outcome, optimum outcomes, sustainable outcomes with things that we do, and we create that leisure and pleasure out of daily tasks and activities. So those things really come handy and very beneficial when it comes to managing stress skillfully. So we're not creating that imbalance in the nervous system, because when there is a chronic stress, there is an effect on our cortisol. There is effect on our hormones. There is effect on our adrenal glands, the cortisol levels. We don't want to overdrive that. We don't want to be in the fight and flight mode all the time as if we're really running away from a tiger, a real threat. With the modern world, we tend to create that with the language that we use or with our perceptions as well. So it is important that we are mindful of our language, mindful of the things happening, and to have gratitude and work on ourselves at mind, body, spiritual level to create that balance, to create that equanimity and that equanimity within and that equity between the others as well. So we are not challenged by little things or by people or with it could be at work with a colleague. So we're not feeling challenged because we bring ourselves to be that authentic, objective, creative self. And that plays a big role. Just being that authentic, at all times plays a big role really when it comes to managing stress skillfully. So for those people who are just starting out, I will say start paying attention to the language that you're using. But for the others, they've already been working on that and also working on their well-being at mental level, emotional level, physical level, like exercising or being in nature and things like that, or practicing spirituality. Go to that next level of mastery and work on your mind. So when it comes to working on the mind, it is that immanent and transcend the mind, which I covered in our previous interviews. That is a big one because mind really plays a role in terms of mental well-being, but also overall creating that equanimity, that homeostasis and equilibrium in the cells and within the cells. So that's what I would like to share and give to our viewers.
Wonderful. And would you have any more, just to end the program, your absolute favourite advice for the viewers about stress management?
So work on your perceptions, really analyse to see, are you making it bigger than it is? So I will say start paying attention to your language and see whether it is something to make something greater out of it and perceive it as to be stressful. Or is it something that you can say, hey, that's not that crucial, it happened for me, not to me. How is that benefiting me? How is it helping me grow? How is it helping me to thrive and go to next level? So start from there will be what I will really get people to focus and pay attention to.
Well, thank you very much, Zara.
Thank you for having me.
And for more information on Dr. Zara Celik and stress management, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And now we'll go to break, and after the break we'll be back with more guests and topics. Welcome back, and now we have Con Nichols, our property advisor and wellbeing advocate, and Con's been with us with a series of interviews on improving your environment to meet your lifestyle. Today he's talking about his personal transformation, and as you can see from the photos, there's been a huge transformation for Con. So Con, over to you. What could you tell us a bit more about your story?
The story started almost a couple of years ago. And then, I walked past my bathroom and my mirror, and I stood in front of the mirror and I saw someone that I did not recognize. Yes, it was violent in a sense that I cried, I shouted. I was actually on a stage that I didn't know where I was going or coming. Because indirectly, I was committing suicide with food. There's no difference if you're going to be a food addict or an alcoholic or a drug addict. You're still going to die. At that point, at that moment, that Monday, 7:22 exactly, I took control of my life. And from then on, I never looked back. And from 151.5 kilos to 76 kilos, which is 50% of my body weight, it not only gave me more energy, it gave me a new me, it gave me a new direction in life, but also it gave me an opportunity to enjoy my family. And people say to me, Con, what's the most important thing that you can do now? It's the little things that might call the big differences. To me, it was 2 weeks ago that I went and bought my girls some office desks, and literally I was assembling the office desks. So I had to pull out the drawers, and I had to go literally underneath the drawers to screw the bench top. At that moment, I'm down there with my back inside a little confined space, and it hit me, Linda, because I could not even think of doing it in the past. And here I am now doing the small things in life that might cause the big differences.
When you say girls, is that your daughters?
Yeah, my twin girls. Look, I'm 57, and I've got twin girls, 5-year-olds. So people say, what's your why? Well, this is my why. I mean, I need to be around. I need to live as much possible as I can so I can enjoy them. And at the end of the day, is it really fair if dad passed away? No. So to me, that was the breaking point. To me, it was the point that I said, you know what, Con? I'm taking action right now. There's no excuses. There's no excuse anymore. Either we do this properly or just don't worry about it. And this is why a lot of people these days, they keep saying, oh, we're so busy, you know, we're going to do it tomorrow, and they bring all these excuses. There's no excuses, for goodness sake. It's you. It's you, your life. There's no excuse about your life. You should be coming first, no second or third. You, as an individual person, you always should put yourself always first.
And so what would be your big secret thing, Con?
The big secret, well, the secret is very simple. And when I tell people my secret, they say, is that all? My diet or my program, depends which way you want to call it, I get up in the morning and I have 2 glasses of hot water. Now, a bit of lemon. How much lemon depends what you like. Now, then my snacks or my lunch. So before that, I go back to breakfast. Breakfast, what I do, I boil 5 eggs, hard boil, and I peel them off, and I throw the yellow part and I eat the white, because the white is all protein and it helps you feed your muscles and your tummy. And of course, during lunchtime or around there, I have my chicken fillets, which obviously there's no salt, because salt maintains water in your body. Put a bit of lemon juice, a bit of spices, just it depends how you like it. And the same thing with fish as well. So you rotate fish, chicken, and so on. And at night, I also, before I go to sleep, I also have 2 glasses of hot water with lemon again. But the secret weapon is my meatballs. When I'm saying my meatballs, twice a week I cook maybe 60, 80 meatballs per time. And when I cook them, I don't fry them. I put them in the oven and I bake them with my own natural meats and healthy meats and so on. No salt once again. So I bake them and I put them in the fridge. Now you say to me, why would you cook them and put them in the fridge? Aha, the reason why we put them in the fridge. Let's say you and I now, we're home and watching telly, and you feel a bit peckish, and you want to go and get your cupboard and some chocolate, some biscuits or whatever be the case. In my case, I go in my fridge, I get a handful of meatballs, which are very healthy, very natural, and that stops my hunger. Now, if that's not simple, if that's not healthy, and guess what, Linda? it costs no money. Because when I say cost money, it's not something you're going to go outsource things as well. It's you've got those things. And believe it or not, by using this particular food structure, I can say you save money. In addition, of course, you've got to have your veg and so on, but this is the core diet, you might say.
So we've, and what about, did you do things like incorporate exercise into what
With
you're doing?
exercise, and please to all the audience out there, it's very, very important before you do any exercise, seek professional advice. You know, watching your body, because remember, we're all very different. And we all got different levels of fitness, and we all got different levels of weight. Now, when I was 151.5 kilos, obviously I could not go for a run or for a jog. It would be impossible. So I discover things, for example, walking and swimming in the pool. You know, go for a very, you know, just very, very basic things once again. But once again, as your fitness picked up a little bit more higher, you did a lot more things better, and you did things more stressful as well. Remember something, your muscles, unless you stress them out, unless you use them, they're not going to work. So, and that's the golden point, you know, and to me, that mentality, it's very simple. And at the end of the day, it's all maths. Example, if you need 1,000 calories to survive, right? And if you're going to burn 1,500 calories, you're going to lose weight. So if you eat, you got to burn. That's the secret.
Thanks, Con, so much for sharing that and your story. Thank you. And for more information on Con's secret, then please go to his webpage on our website. That's Con Nichols, and our website is healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And for now, we'll say bye-bye, and we'll be back next week with more amazing interviews.